So there's a few things that whenever I get my new Mac, or a new Mac, that I'm going to do kind of like immediately before I do very much else. So let me show you some of those things. So we're going to go into the settings to start with. So open up the the command button and the spacebar to open up the Spotlight search. Type in setting, and you can see that system settings is right there. So I'm going to hit enter. And when it comes up, there's a few things in here that I want to change, right? So first thing is that going through a lot of these settings can be a little bit awkward, right? So it's easier to just go and maybe type things up here, right? So I'm going to go to AirDrop and handoff first of all, okay? And the first thing I'm going to change is that by default, my MacBook, whenever I bought this, shows AirDrop for everyone. Okay, I'm going to change that to contacts only because I don't want to be spammed when I'm in a public place with people sending me all kinds of, well, whatever they feel like sending, because AirDrop can be used for sending all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to turn that to contacts only just to make sure that, you know, everything there, I'm protected from anyone trying to send me unsolicited items. Next up, we talked about this the other day, but dark mode. I really like dark mode. I feel like this is just too bright and it makes my head hurt. Going into dark mode is just like pleasant, right? Now I realize that's not for everyone and the contrast may be a bit difficult for people to see at times. But yeah, that's my own personal preference. Next up, if we go into privacy and security, there's loads of stuff in here. Don't worry about this right now. We will come back to it another time. But if I scroll down, you'll see that security, usually by default, this is set to App Store, right? Which means you can only download and run applications from inside the Mac App Store, right? Now, that's there in order to protect you from downloading and running anything which is potentially hazardous to your device. But I feel relatively confident in my own ability to determine what is and what isn't good for my computer. So I've turned on App Store and identified developers. Now what this means is that people still need to be a registered developer with Apple and have certain things in place for them to be able to create applications and so forth. So whenever you download an application like through your web browser, as long as it is by an identified Apple developer, you can run it on your computer. If not, what will happen is that you'll get a little warning showing up saying this is not an identified developer. Please go into your privacy and security settings and say whether or not you want to launch the application. So that's one of the things that I turn on right here. Then probably the most important thing that I turn on at all is this, File Vault. Now, File Vault is full disk encryption for your computer. Now, not only that, but it can only be decrypted by you, and it's just there as protection in case, you know, you misplace your laptop or someone steals it or something along those lines. So I would definitely recommend turning File Vault on. It will ask you how you want to store your recovery key, and you can either print it out or you can store it in your iCloud account. And we'll talk more about iCloud probably next time. Next, desktop and dock down here. And what I'm essentially going to do here is just to make my computer run a little bit more smoothly. I'm not going to auto hide the dock, but I am going to turn off application animations. As I go further down, let's see, was anything else in here? I don't really think there was, but mostly it's to stop animations and kind of like speed up the overall feel of the computer. Next up, our lock screen. Now, lock screen is basically what you see whenever you lock your computer by pushing like the fingerprint reader button and stuff like that. So that lock screen comes up and it has like your little picture, and asks you for your password to log in and things like that. You can set a little message in there. Now, you can see in my case, I've just got a fun little quote here from Hunger Games, but you can change it to essentially whatever you want. Next thing, allow Apple Watch to unlock your Mac. Alright, so Touch ID and password. As you come down to here, you can see Lee's Apple Watch. And so I have this enabled, which means that whenever my computer is locked, whenever I get to within a certain distance, the computer will automatically unlock for me. What this will also do is that it will allow me, like whenever I get to, if I want to review my saved passwords or something along those lines, it will ask me to just double tap a button on the Apple Watch and unlock it that way, rather than having to use the fingerprint scanner built into the computer. All right, and the last thing I want to do is I'm going to go to accessibility. Now, the reason I'm coming into accessibility is because there's something in here which I really like making use of. Now, this is especially the case because I teach classes on digital forensics for both Windows and Mac operating systems. And so when I go into this, I'm going to turn on the zoom. Okay. Now, what this does, you can see the modifier key for scroll, right, is the control button. Now, if I hold the control button down and I push 2 fingers up, you'll see that I can now zoom in to the screen. Okay. Now, there's different ways of doing this. You can have a split screen, right? So if I zoom in, you can see there's the zoomed part up at the top, and there's the regular size stuff down at the bottom. Or I can do picture in picture. If I do that, now you'll see like it just zooms in wherever the cursor is. Now, I'm going to keep it on full screen because I like doing it that way. But I also have advanced down here. And if I click on advanced, I'm going to select continuous with pointer, because otherwise this is what is on by default. All right, let me show you. Only whenever you reach the edge does it actually move. Okay, now some people might like that. I find that rather annoying and I don't like it. So I'm going to switch it back to moves continuously with pointer. All right, so there's some of the things which I do when I first get my Mac system. Hope that is useful to you, and come back soon for more tips and tricks.